There's a good chance that most of us have experienced the clueless entry system, but there is a much better way to open your car door without your keys. In this video, we'll introduce you to the operation and testing of the keyless entry system available on many Ford and Lincoln Mercury vehicles. The keyless entry system is controlled by this module. This computer's job is to receive inputs and produce outputs. Each module has its own unique 5-digit permanent access code. The code is the only difference between modules. Connector types are also the same for all vehicles. No matter what size module or type of car they are installed in, all modules work exactly the same. The permanent code is programmed at the factory and cannot be changed. There are permanent code reminders in 4 locations when the car leaves the factory. The code can be found on a sticker on the module, on the owner's warranty registration card, on a wallet card left in the glove box, and a sticker under the trunk lid. If you have problems locating the code, check the shop manual for assistance. The modules can be located in the luggage compartments. For example, this car's module is behind the left side trunk liner. In most wagons, you'll find them behind the left side inner trim panel. In other vehicles, such as this town car, you will find it behind the glove box. If you're not sure, look in your shop manual for the proper location. Let's talk some more about how the module responds to inputs and outputs. If the correct 5-digit permanent code is entered through the keypad, the module processes the information and produces an output. In this case, the output is a door lock motor, unlocking the driver's door. If the 3-4 button is pushed within 5 seconds, the module is programmed to produce a second output, and all doors will unlock. The module has 8 inputs. They are the front door handle switches, the driver's seat sensor, the transmission backup lamp switch, the ignition switch, the courtesy lamp switch, the door ajar switch, the keypad buttons, and the power door lock switches. The system inputs can result in 6 separate outputs. They are unlocking the driver's door only, unlocking all doors, locking all doors, opening the luggage compartment, illuminating the interior and keyhole lamps, and illuminating the keypad lamps. The module has been programmed to perform 4 major tasks or features. They are keyless entry, auto lock and auto lock selection, illuminated entry, and accepting an alternate code. Let's look closer at each feature one at a time. Keyless entry is the main feature of the module. The keypad buttons are the sole input for this feature. These buttons are not rocker-type switches. This means that if you push the 3 button, it sends the same signal to the module as the 4 button would. The outputs for the keyless feature are the door lock unlock motors and the luggage compartment release solenoid. As you saw earlier, if the correct combination of 5 inputs is received, the driver's door lock motor will be activated by the module. If the 3-4 button is pressed within 5 seconds of the first command, the module will energize the remaining door lock motors. If the 5-6 button is pressed within 5 seconds of the first command, the luggage compartment release solenoid will be activated. The door lock unlock buttons are also inputs to the module. The module has exclusive control of all the door lock motors. When the door lock button is pressed, the module sends out a lock command to all motors. If the 7-8 and 9-0 keypad buttons are pressed together, the module will also command the door lock motors to lock the doors. If the vehicle is equipped with an anti-theft system, pressing these buttons together will arm the system. The illuminated entry feature has 3 inputs and 1 output. The inputs are the ignition switch, the front door handle switches, and the keypad buttons. The outputs are the courtesy and keyhole lamps. They are fed voltage in parallel from a single module output wire. Some of the vehicle's illumination is separate from the keyless module. For example, when a door is opened from the inside, or the courtesy lamps are switched on by the driver, voltage is applied directly to all courtesy lamps without involving the keyless module. Here's how the module affects illumination. When a front door handle is lifted, an internal switch closes and the module becomes involved. Now the module applies voltage to the courtesy and keyhole lamps. A timer in the module will keep the lights on for 25 seconds. If the ignition is switched on before 25 seconds pass, the illumination supplied by the module is canceled. The interior lights are also activated by the module when any keypad button is pressed. Again, the lamps will remain on for 25 seconds or until the ignition is switched on. The keypad is illuminated by the module when it is active. If 5 seconds pass, or the module completes its task, the keypad lamps go off. The auto lock feature involves the most inputs and is the most misunderstood of all features. Technicians have been confused by this feature as often as owners have. The inputs for this feature are the ignition switch, the driver's seat sensor, the transmission backup lamp switch, the door ajar switches, the courtesy lamp switches, and the keypad. The outputs are all signals to the door lock motors. For the module to perform auto lock, the following conditions must exist. All doors must be fully closed. The ignition must be in the on position. The driver's seat must be occupied. And the reverse lamp circuit must produce an on, then off voltage. If all of these conditions are met, the module will send out a lock command to all the door lock motors. If a door is opened after auto lock has been performed, the module is alerted by the presence of voltage in the courtesy lamp circuit. The module knows when the door is reclosed because the voltage in the courtesy lamp circuit is gone. The module checks the door ajar switches to be sure all doors are fully closed, and it checks to be sure the driver's seat is occupied. If these conditions are met, a lock command is again sent to all door lock motors. If the driver turns on the courtesy lamps, the module receives the same signal as if a door was open. This is because the dome lamp switch and the courtesy lamp door switches both feed the interior lamps in parallel. When the dome lamps are switched off, the module will try to relock all doors. This has been a source of confusion for both customers and technicians alike. However, this relock function is normal. Both auto lock and relock will not be performed if any door is partially open or the interior lamps are switched on. Beginning in 1988, the module was reprogrammed so auto lock could be temporarily canceled if the owner prefers not to have this feature. You can deactivate auto lock by entering the permanent access code, then pressing and holding the 7-8 button. Next, press and release the 3-4 button. This procedure is used to both deactivate and reactivate auto lock. The module is supplied battery voltage at all times. When power is lost, the auto lock feature will return to its default setting. With 1988 model year modules, the default setting is auto lock off. If module power is lost on a 1990 or newer vehicle, its default setting is auto lock on. This is also true of all 1988 model year replacement modules. In addition to the permanent code, all modules can be programmed to accept one alternate code. Unlike the permanent code, this code can be erased and changed at will. After the correct permanent code has been entered, the 1-2 button must be pressed. The module is now ready to accept the alternate code. The next 5 buttons pressed will be the new alternate code. Keep in mind that, regardless of what function is being performed, if 5 seconds pass between pressing any keypad buttons, the module turns itself off. Any power loss to the module will not only return the auto lock feature to its default setting, it will erase the alternate code as well. Now that you understand what the system should do and how it works, let's begin testing. You'll need a shop manual, a digital volt-ohm meter, and a jumper wire. You should also write down the permanent code. You will need it frequently as you test the system. There are 15 sequential quick tests to run on the system. If there are any faults in the system, they will be apparent during one or more of these tests. Whenever a test passes, go on to the next quick test. If all 15 tests pass, the system is fully functional. If any test fails, you will be directed to the appropriate pinpoint test to further isolate the problem. Each group of quick tests concentrates on one of the 4 features: keyless entry, auto lock, illuminated entry, and accepting an alternate code. Test steps 1 through 6 test the different inputs and outputs of the keyless entry feature. Let's take a look at step 3. Test step 3 will determine if the keypads are sending the appropriate input to the module to lock the doors. Press the 7-8 and 9-0 buttons at the same time. If all the doors are fully closed, they should lock. If all doors do not lock, there is a problem. The shop manual will direct you to the appropriate pinpoint test. Next, we'll test the auto lock feature. As we mentioned earlier, in 1988, the module was modified so that auto lock can be activated or deactivated by the owner. Follow the instructions provided in your shop manual. This information is also available on the back of the code card located on the modules. Let's go through the steps in test 7. If the auto lock feature is active, all doors should lock whenever the following conditions are met. The ignition is in the on position, the driver is in the driver's seat, and the transmission goes in and out of reverse. If one or more doors fail to lock, go to the appropriate pinpoint test. Test steps 10 through 12 test the illumination portion of the system. Let's work through test step 12. Step 12 instructs you to lift a front door handle to activate the illuminated entry feature. Enter the vehicle, close the doors, and turn on the ignition within 25 seconds. If the courtesy lamps are canceled with the ignition switch, step 12 has passed. If they do not go off after the ignition is switched on, go to the appropriate pinpoint test. Steps 13, 14, and 15 test the 4th function, accepting an alternate code. Let's take a close look at test step 14. This step is as simple as trying out the alternate code which was entered in step 13. If this test fails, the shop manual will direct you to the pinpoint test for further testing. If the test passes, go on to step 15. If step 15 passes, testing is complete. Whenever you replace a component or perform a repair, it's a good idea to run the system through all 15 quick test steps in the shop manual. Whenever a module is replaced, the code cards should all be located and replaced. Also, the luggage compartment sticker, which contains the permanent code, must be replaced. This way, you can be sure that every feature of the module is operating correctly before you return the vehicle to the customer. If you have a chance, it's a good idea to let your customers know about some of the keyless entry system's features. This can help avoid unnecessary repeat repair requests. Now that you have viewed this tape, it would be helpful to look up the section on keyless entry in the shop manual. In the 1991 and earlier manuals, it is section 4418. In the new style manuals, it is section 0114B. Practice using the quick tests on a demonstration or new vehicle. If you still have questions about the system, replay this tape.